Welcome back to the Shoot Like a Girl podcast. I'm your host, Jules Allender, and I have some very special guests with me today, Brandy Huffhines and Jada Lewis, who both are endorsed athletes and partners with the Shoot Like a Girl brand. And so today we have a very hot topic for you guys, and we're going to provide you with their experiences, some educational material regarding the subject, and just hope that there's something from this podcast, from them, from me, that you can take away and that will help you with your futures. So let's get it started. Welcome, ladies. How are we doing?
Doing pretty good. Jada?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. Pretty good.
Yeah, excellent. So tell me what's going on right now with you guys in life, with your teams, with your schools.
I can start. We're in spring workouts right now, really getting after it. Do a lot of training on the side and just trying to get my body right and watching a lot of film to help myself for the next season. Life outside of basketball is great. I go to school all the time. Well, I have class during the week and homework, and I'm just busy all the time hanging out with my teammates and doing schoolwork, living life. So yeah.
Like the life of a college athlete.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much same here. I'm in the middle of my spring workouts. I recently entered the transfer portal. So recently committed to a new university. So for me, I'm just getting myself ready, physically and mentally ready for the next coming up season. Like I said, spring workouts. Right now, I'm working out in the mornings. I'm lifting 4 times a week. I'm in a master's program, so obviously that takes up a lot of my time too. So yeah, just as much as Jada, I'm very busy, but that's a good thing for me, at least.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like it's always good to stay busy. And transfer portal, that is definitely a hot topic, and I think we'll take that up at a later date. It's something that has recently, in the last 3 to 5 years, definitely been a change in college basketball, men's and women's, and good and bad. There's a lot to it, and I think there's a lot of information that can be covered, and it can be helpful for players and parents, etc. So anyways, let's get our topic started. So as you both know, today we're going to talk about NCAA viewing periods and viewing events for high school players with their prospective AAU teams. And I know both of you have had very different experiences in regards to the AAU level and viewing periods. And so you will happily share those. But first thing I wanted to do is kind of take a look at this. What is the viewing period? What are the different periods? So I got this straight off of the NCAA website. And for parents, players, or just anybody who's ever curious about these different terms that get thrown around: dead periods, viewing periods, evaluation periods, quiet periods. These are all different times of the year that at the Division I level, that's the calendar that I pulled up, coaches can and cannot do specific things. And so we see here August 1st, 2022 through July 31st, 2023. So that's this calendar. And so we have the 1st of August through the 31st of August. We have what's called a quiet period, and a quiet period is that time when it is permissible to make in-person recruiting contacts only on the member institution's campus. And then we have recruiting shutdown. And so no form of recruiting is permitted, right? So that would be August 14th through the 20th. Then we get into September, and we have kind of this green and blue contact period, evaluation period. And an evaluation period is that period of time when it is permissible for authorized athletics department staff members to be involved in off-campus activities designed to assess the academic qualifications and playing ability of the prospective student athletes. No in-person off-campus recruiting contact shall be made with the prospect student athlete during the evaluation period. I think this is always awkward. And I know, Jada, when you played for me, you kind of experience this, right? So the coach can go watch you,
Yep.
right? But then everyone's just doing this.
Yeah, from far away, just I know you are. We just have simple contact like that, but yeah, not
Yeah.
allowed to talk, everything like that. So
Yeah, I've had a number of parents, ask me, what do I say to them when I see them? I'm like, well, you don't say anything, just say hello. Because there can't be, by rule, they can't have conversation. Obviously, they're probably not going to be rude and they're going to, acknowledge your existence. But if you're a parent, no, don't have a 20-minute conversation prepared for the college of your dreams for your child. So. All right, so we have these evaluation periods, dead period over Christmas for 3 days. It's a period of time when it's not permissible to make in-person recruiting contacts or evaluations on or off the member institution campus, or to permit official or unofficial visits by student athletes to the institution's campus. So you can't see them, basically, right? And so it just goes through this throughout the year, right? We have, and here's what we have coming up. We have the first April 21st through the 23rd, the first certified non-scholastic, meaning it is not tied to any high school or high school season. It is just club AAU basketball. So it's made drastic changes over the last 3 to 5 years. It can be overly complicated, but I think it's well worth people knowing. And then it continues on the next page, right? Then you get the whole calendar in view. So you guys got any comments on that?
I just like to say that all of this is super resourceful, just because I remember when I was playing AAU in high school, like I had my dad who kind of like helped me out a little bit. Because obviously he's a high school coach. He's been around AAU for a little bit, but a lot of this, like I was unaware of. He knew somewhat of like what was going on, but as a player, like I had no clue that any of this was a thing. And I think it's super important for all high school athletes to understand these rules. That way, like when they see a coach during one of these tournaments and the coach doesn't really say anything, well, they understand why. It's not because they're not interested or anything like that. It's just the rules, and everybody just needs to, it's just important for people to understand what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. It's knowledge is power, and it allows you to make correct decisions and right decisions. So
I sort of have a question regarding all of this. Going to like sending out film and sending out your own personal information to coaches. You could send it at any time, correct? But the coach respond with the dead period and quiet period and all that. So yeah, like just when you send out film, it's important to like, especially like before viewing tournament, like just set out your schedule. Like I'm playing these times against these teams, like come check me out, So yeah, that's also very resourceful. If you are sending out film, the right timing is key. You don't want to get lost in all those messages when there's no tournaments going on. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a very valid point for sure. And I've heard many people say, AU is going to replace high school basketball, this, that, or whatever. I don't think high school sports is ever going to go away. But I think the point to that statement is there's no other opportunity for a college coach to spend 2 days, right, and probably see 800 kids, right? That's not going to happen during the high school season. So during AAU basketball, do you have more of an opportunity to be seen and be in front of the right people? Absolutely. And absolutely, to your point, Jada, yes, send them your schedule, send them film, so they make it a point to show up and know who you are. So excellent points.
Yeah.
That's why I hired you both. Okay, cool. So let's talk about the do's and don'ts as a player during NCAA viewing periods. And so I have a list, that I always talk to my kids about, and I'll go ahead and start. So first and foremost, for the do's, and these are things that don't show up on the stat sheet. I always tell players from years of recruiting, it's so easy to tell how talented a kid is. Like it'll take you, 5 minutes to watch the kid play. You can see how they move. You can see their skill set. You can see them shoot it a couple times, put the ball on the floor, and you're like, okay, this is this kid's skill set. But there's these other characteristics that I think weigh heavier, because I think nowadays we're more at an even playing field in girls basketball and women's basketball, right? But 10, 15 years ago, there was this drastic, there wasn't as many talented females playing basketball, right? And so for me, first and foremost is body language. What are you communicating while you're playing, while you're on the bench, when things don't go your way? Body language. So that would be the first thing for me. What do you guys got something?
I agree with that. I always like to remind myself, like, act like someone's watching you at all times. Like the school of your dreams, their coaches in the stands. Like imagine them in the stands, and you won't do those things. You won't have bad body language. You'll be positive. You'll be hype. You'll be playing better. Like I think that's something to remember. Yeah, because we do get caught up in our emotions as players, and yeah, just always act like someone's watching you, even though you're in a gym by yourself. It's always a great habit to have.
Yeah, body language is super important. Like what Jada just mentioned about even practicing it when nobody's watching, just because I feel like body language kind of stems from your mental mindset of when things aren't going right, instead of like reacting with your body. And obviously that stems from what you're thinking. So reframing the mindset of like next play, or just because you missed a shot, like you'll make the next one, and just having this constant like reminder of, like you're good, you're fine. And then that will relate to your body to just be in the moment, be present, and just continue to play through each and every play instead of constantly worrying about what just happened or what's going to happen next.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Great points. Next thing on my list is cheering for your teammates. Right. I think when we watch the NCAA tournament, I think it's ever so present. These teams that are going deep into the run into the tournament, their benches are excited. The kid that never gets in is hyped, and they are genuinely cheering for their teammates.
Yeah, I think in today's day, I think because social media is such a huge thing, I think a lot of times, a lot of kids and just people in general start to compare each other's successes. And just because one person is winning in one way, that sometimes we feel like we're not doing as. And then when we're on a team, sometimes people get caught up in the jealousy and the envy of teammates, and it keeps them from being cheerful and happy for their teammates. And so I think it's really important that high school kids, when they're playing AAU, to realize that just because somebody else is having success doesn't diminish yours, and having that reminder that they should all be cheering for one another's successes.
Yeah, I agree. Especially with the social media, especially at a young age, you are like looking up to people. And if you're looking at social media, there are kids your age, at a young age, being very successful. And that's only because social media, like the perspective is different over social media than in real life. So always just remember that. And yeah, especially in AU, I feel like a lot of kids want to be the player on the team, and not everyone's going to be like that, especially when you go into college. You're always going to be the freshman coming in, or transfer, or whoever. You always got to fight for that spot. And yeah, like always cheer on other people's successes, because when it's your turn, you expect them to do the same thing. Yeah.
Great. And then next I have how you handle a loss. Right. We're talking about young players, right? 14, 15, 16. Sometimes their world revolves around basketball, right, wrong, or indifferent. But I think it speaks a lot to someone's character is how they handle a loss, you know, on do they throw pity parties? Do they just, hey, what's next? You know, can they look and evaluate what got them into the loss? Do they blame their teammates? Do they blame their coach? You know, so that's something I always looked at.
Yeah. As AU, like going on, like you have like 3 games a day. And for me personally, I take every loss. Like that's the only loss I'm gonna get. So yeah, like I'm coming off the floor, like ready for the next game, trying to, okay, we didn't get this one. We're gonna go 2-1 instead of 1-2 or 0-3. Like I feel like that should be the mentality to have. And just going off like body language too, off a loss. At a young age, I was taught by a coach to always go and shake the ref's hands after the game, because like they ref your game, they don't have to be there. They're doing it so they could get money, and like they all got to deal with the parents. They got to deal with everyone else just chirping at them. So just showing them respect and showing them that they appreciate, showing them that you appreciate them being at the game. And I remember vividly, like I went to a new team and I went up. I was the only one that just went up to shake the ref's hand because it was habit. And my coach was like, "Oh wow, like we never do that. Like it's good to see that you do that. Like even though we lost or it was a close game or whatever it was." So yeah, just always remember, just character is everything, and always act like someone's watching you.
Yeah, definitely knowing how to lose is huge. Because even for me, like when I was really young, before I even entered high school, like I was a sore loser. Like I hate losing. I hated losing so much. And a small story, I remember when I was maybe junior high, we had lost a game and I went through the line. I didn't shake anyone's hands. And my dad chewed me out for it. And he was just telling me how important it is to be, to show sportsmanship for your opponent and for the other coaches and whatever, that, the respect that you show others, how you respect yourself, and showing that you know how to lose with integrity and pride and not allow yourself to get consumed with all of that really shows your character. So when coaches see that, maybe the game didn't go your way and you guys lost and you're still able to stay composed, it just speaks volumes.
Mm-hmm. Great advice from the two of you. All right. How your parents act in the stands and with other parents and opponents. So I got a story that I heard, and I'm not going to name names, but high caliber high school kid in an AU tournament. Mom walked out and told the officials they needed to go and to bring on a new set of officials. And they didn't do it, pulled her kid out of the game, and don't think it's going well on some recruiting adventures. So parents, coaches want good parents. They want good backgrounds. They want high character families. And I think that's evident.
Yeah. I think sometimes parents get so caught up in, because obviously at the end of the day, parents just want what is best for their kids. But sometimes I think parents can get a little too involved, to the sense like, it's basketball, it's your kid's future. And I understand that it's important, but it's more important to your child than it is to you. And parents have to put that in perspective, like what their actions and what they do can jeopardize, what they want for their kids. And I think that's a conversation that, these AU kids need to have with their parents, like how they both need to act when they go into like tournaments and talking to coaches, and how they want to represent their family and themselves, and how parents want to represent their kids. Because like you said, coaches not just want like a really good player, but they want everything that comes with them. So good character, good family, good, because those are all just bonuses that that are great for the culture of a program and all of those things. So yeah, definitely something that AAU players and parents have to keep in mind.
Yeah, I heard that from the beginning of recruitment, like just how your parents act in the stands. Like I know a couple of even people I played against and teams I played against, their parents got kicked out of games because they're yelling at the ref or yelling at the other team because they didn't get a call, and like stuff like that. Little things that just are almost disrespectful and just not helping any case. I think that parents could be hard-headed. They want their child to succeed, and they only want their child to succeed and try to be the best that they could be. But I feel like some parents don't understand that to be the best that your child could be, it could be meaning like you're the third best player on the team, not the top best player that you're going to get all the looks to, you're going to get all the plays for.
Yeah.
And I think parents should teach their kids, like, play your role and it'll work out for you. If you're trying to be something you're not, or trying to do things that you don't usually do and haven't practiced, then like, yeah, I just encourage all the parents to just keep working with their children, teaching them that character and getting in the gym if they are the third best player, helping them train to be the best player that they could be.
Yeah, you reminded me of what I would say during AU tournaments, viewing periods with you guys. It'd be like, just do what you do best. You want to get recruited, do what you do best. And then, and it's very true, coaches don't want to see someone who can half-ass dribble the ball or half-ass shoot when that's not their strength. It's like, what is your strength? Do what you do best. And so, no, that's great.
Yeah.
All right. Next I got is, what do you do if your shot isn't falling, right? How are you going to help your team if you can't get buckets? If the ball's not going in for you, do you shut off? Or are you going to make your teammates better? I think this is huge. I think this is probably one of the most important factors, because I don't think any kid is going to play their best basketball every single game.
Yeah, I agree. For me personally, if I'm not shooting well, my defense is top notch, to be honest. I'm trying to get a steal. I'm trying to get on the floor because I'm mad at that point. If I missed a couple in a row, like I'm going to keep shooting, but I'm not going to take shots that are forceful and that aren't shots that I would normally take if I was making them. So yeah, just know that if you're not shooting well, or like even not playing defense well, you have other aspects of your game. And if you don't, then that is something that you should work on. Just so you're not just a shooter, not just a driver, not just a defensive player. Like, work on your handles, work on layups, work on everything, floaters, everything that comes with the game. You're going to have to do everything at one point. Shoot the ball, you're going to have to float the ball, lay the ball, defense. So just working on every aspect so you're not just dialed in and stuck to one thing. And I think I struggle with that. I was always, and still, kind of like, oh, I'm just a shooter. Like, that's what I do. I shoot. But yeah, I'm working on other aspects of my game and strengthening everything else so that I'm not just a shooter. They take away the shot, okay, I could attack, I could pull up. Just, yeah.
Yeah. For me, growing up, especially when I was in high school, I would tend to, if things weren't going my way, if the ball wasn't falling, I'd get really angry with myself, and then I would almost try to do too much. And obviously for me, like, that would hurt me because it takes me out of my game, all of that stuff. So my advice would just be, if you're not falling, like what Jada was saying, like, there are so many other things in basketball that you can contribute to, the ball even going in the hoop, even if you're not shooting it, so whether that's giving out assists or getting steals on defense, transition points, getting a rebound, like all those extra little things that people tend to think that coaches don't notice, or all the things that coaches are actually looking at. And then also, like, if shooting is what you do, then just keep shooting, but just make sure it's within the rhythm of the offense. You're in rhythm, it's a good shot. Just because the shot didn't fall doesn't mean it was a bad shot. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Great. Yeah, excellent points. So next I got the skills or the physical attributes or things that one would do physically. So my first one, and Jada, you made mention of this, is gets on the floor. Right. To me, that communicates as a coach that you're willing to do whatever it takes to win the game. Right. That you're not afraid to get dirty. You're not afraid to get on the floor, to do whatever the team needs to be done. And so that would be my first one on that list.
Yeah. I think, sacrificing your body is the main thing. Like, that's what coaches see when recruiting. You're taking the screen, you're setting good screens, you're fighting to get over screens, like little things like that, especially on defense, and like taking it strong to the basket and being physical, and knowing that a coach could look at you and be like, okay, you're strong enough to like be physical and move somebody and actually make an impact when you're on the court. And I know a lot of players that aren't a lot of physical, don't have a lot of physicality within them, like me. Like, I would always fade away from the basket and not really take charges or stuff like that. But yeah, but I shot, so I didn't really have to do that. But just taking, like, sacrificing your body is a big thing that I have focused on all throughout my years of college so far, and it's helped me. I've been a lot more physical than my AAU days, so that's great to have.
Yeah.
I think also another thing to add to that physicality, but also having a motor on the offensive end, especially on the defensive end, because for a lot of players, they have all this energy on offense, but when it goes on defense, now they're not in correct help, and they're not in a stance, and all of those things are hard to do, like to sustain at a high intensity while you're in the game, and you're just going 100% the entire time. Like, that's attractive to coaches. It just shows that no matter what's going on in the game, no matter if it's a high paced game or if it's a little bit slower, that you are exerting your body until like you can't go anymore. And then that's when you ask for a sub, like while you're on the floor, you're just putting it all out there the entire time until you get subbed out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. You always hear the term, the kid has a high motor, right? When coaches are talking about players that are attracted to them, high motors, they got high motors. So, and then to your point, Brandy, my next one is can defend, right? But in man defense, meaning can you keep the player in front of you, and do you understand help principles, and do you not foul 85,000 times a game? I think too often we see AAU programs and teams running all kinds of zones and crazy traps because they just want to win games. I understand the wantingness to win, but I have a hard time not being willing to teach or even kind of suffer through. I remember the first few tournaments that we would play, and how many high school kids that I had that were not used to playing man defense. So no one ever helped. But they want to win. So eventually they're going to figure it out. But I was willing to take those losses early because I thought it was extremely important to showcase the fact, one, to teach, and to two, showcase the fact that these players can play man defense. They can stay in front. And so that's my second point.
Yeah.
I think being able to play man defense is incredibly important, because when you get to the next level, like that's really like a lot of it that, it consists of playing man. I mean, obviously, like
Jada's team.
There's scout defense, and like sometimes depending on your opponent, like you will play a zone here and there, but mainly like college basketball, I would say, is consisted of man defense. And if you don't know how to play correct man defense and be able to contain the basketball, like it will be difficult for a coach to put you on the floor, because then when you're out there, then you get blown by every single time. Well, then that puts the team at risk, and then you become like a liability. And so that's why I think for me, like even like at Riland, at my high school, we played zone. We weren't really taught man principles at all. And yeah, we won a lot of games, but when I went on to play college, I had to learn all of these new things and actually learn to bend my knees and put my squat down and get into a stance because I had never really had to do that before. You know, super important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And as somebody who does play zone, being able to play man defense within a zone is important as well. A zone is basically a man in your area. So it's one-on-one in your area. And if you can't handle your area, you're gonna get subbed out. So yeah, like knowing where you're supposed to be, knowing your rotations, knowing like scout, especially in college, when you're not going to come into every game like not knowing who each player is, what they're going to do. You scout those things. So just studying those things, and like even for AAU, like you see the team you're going to be playing against and you see the five that's always on the floor, find the person you're going to guard and then see what their moves are going to be. Scout them out so they can't do what they want to do, so that you have the upper hand basically. And that'll get you ready for college too, like just being able to really see somebody do something once and you're like, okay, I'm not going to let you do that again. I'm not going to let you shoot every ball you have in your hand. Like, I'm not going to let you do your in and out cross like you always do. I'm not going to let you do your spin move. So yeah, like especially in zone, being able to play man is a big key, and you're gonna have to do it every single game. So yeah.
Excellent. All right. Next one I got is takes good shots. And I think this could be a whole topic on its own, because I think it's dependent and relevant to the player we're talking about and the skill set they have. Right. And I think going back to points you made, Jada, and what I would say is do what you do best. Right. So take good shots where you are going to excel. And for me, or what I define as a good shooter, and I think this is kind of the college level basis, I want to say, or kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Measurement stick is, can you shoot 40% from the 3-point line? Do you shoot 50% from the floor? Right? Those are marks that I try to hit as a player if I want to be successful every game. And so I think it's extremely important that players know what their shooting percentages are from spots, from areas defended, not defended, and then do those in games and show that they do those well. If you're 1 from 10 from the 3-point line and I just watched you jack 9 threes and I'm like, okay, maybe you're having a bad shooting game, but if you do that 4 or 5 games, I think that's a turnoff. I don't think you are showcasing. I think you are trying to prove that you belong rather than letting your skill set talk for itself.
Yeah, I agree. I think shot selection is very unique to every person. As a shooter, like my range could range from mid-range to deep NBA threes. And that also depends on time and score of a game. I'm not going to be like first quarter, we're up by 2 points and I'm pulling up by the NBA logo and just I missed. Like, that's not a good shot to take. Even if I did make it, okay, great, I made it. But did I need to shoot that? No, I didn't. So like time and score is also a big factor in shot selection. And also like just obviously post players or whoever, actually anyone could shoot really, but if you are going 1 for 10 from 3, you're not expected to shoot a 3. Like someone's going to see you shoot that and like, oh, that's not a good shot. And that also going to practice in how you practice shooting. If you're at practice or training by yourself, whatever, and you're only doing catch and shoot jumpers, catch and shoot, that's all you do, and you get into a game and you're expected to come off a screen, dribble off, pull up 3 or pull up jumper, and you miss it, like, okay, you didn't practice it, so it's not really a good shot for you. I would expect you to catch the ball and shoot it instead of dribbling. But yeah, so like if you want to like have everything in your bag, practice everything. So no one could sit there and say that was a terrible shot from you because you missed it. but it wasn't a terrible shot because you've practiced that multiple times. You've made it 100 times. It just didn't go in that one time.
Yeah.
So yeah, just practicing time and score.
Yeah, I 100% agree with Jada. Like, obviously, like for me, like me personally, like I have developed a pretty good mid-range game. So for me, like, and for a lot of people, a mid-range shot isn't always the best shot. You know, not a lot of people practice it all the time. So for me, it's considered a great shot. But for somebody else who's not in the gym and who's not practicing it, well, then it's not a good shot. You know, so like what Jada said, to every single person, your shot selection is going to be unique. But as an individual player, it's your responsibility to know like what you have in your bag and what you're able to be, what you're really good at now compared to what you're not quite so good at and what you have to work on to be able to expand your bag, to be able to attempt certain shots, like coming off a ball screen and pulling up a three. Like that's a hard shot to take and to make as it is. So if you're not consistently practicing those shots, then it's not considered a good shot. And each player has their responsibility to know what that is to them.
Yeah. Excellent points. All right. Makes the extra pass. That's what I got next. And from a coaching standpoint, this tells me that you are more concerned about winning than you are about your stats, right? I have a contested shot that I'm probably going to make, but my teammate's wide open. I'm going to throw it. And that's a pretty solid guarantee that the ball is going in. So I think having an awareness level of your personnel, an awareness level, you guys both brought up time and score, and then just showing that, you know, you want to win and you're putting winning above your personal stats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was going to mention, like when you were explaining, just awareness of the floor. Like when you show that you can make the extra pass, it shows that you have obviously the awareness of what's happening. You have court vision. You're not just so tunnel vision. You can see your teammates, who's open, who's not, and you're just reading the floor well, obviously, to make that correct extra pass. It also just shows how unselfish you are as a player. You know, I don't think any coach in the world wants somebody that's going to come into the program and just be selfish. You know, like at the end of the day, it's about building as a team and not just about recruiting one player and they're just going to be the all-star. Like that's not the purpose of sports, really. So it really, like I said, so to me, the main two things is that it shows that you're really unselfish and obviously you have court awareness.
Excellent.
Yeah, I agree. Like court vision is like a big factor in that. And also basketball IQ. Just seeing in person now, like that comes with the IQ. Like, you know, your post player is really good at her mid-range game. You're going to hit her at the high post, even though you're wide open for a three that maybe you will make, maybe not. But if she's going to make that mid-range, you might as well pass it. Give up a good shot to get a great shot. And that's like, I think every coach that I played for has always said that. Like, make the extra pass, do the dump off, attack to a spot so you know that if the help comes, you're passing it to that player. And that comes with a lot of practice too, especially with your teammates. That's not like individually, like it does take some chemistry to know where your teammates can shoot, where your teammates want the ball when they do shoot, and who could shoot where and what they do off of it. So yeah, just awareness of that, personnel, court vision, all of it's huge.
Yeah. And I think to your point saying, and I know I one of my favorite teaching points is right, pass to where the defender came from. Mm-hmm. Right. So often we drive it, we get help, and then we just throw it. Right. And that person's guarded, you know, it's like you created an advantage. That's the point, you know, or score it, but pass to where the defender came from. And I think that goes back to what you both said in court awareness, right? You're not just a robot. You're not just, you know, dribble, pass, you know, but you have court awareness and high IQ. So extremely, extremely valid points. All right. My last one, and this is very common in girls basketball, and I'm not sure exactly why, but does not drive or dribble into traps. And I think it happens so often that dribble, 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 and like you see the defender and they just keep going while they're guarded and they're trapped. And then it's like, WTF, no one help me. And you're like, oh, what did you see? And the most common answer I get is, I don't know. So I think that comes along with court awareness. Now, granted, post players, I'll give them a little bit of a pass because they've probably not worked on it so much. But guards, you have to have that ability.
Yeah, especially like as a point guard, bringing it up. I don't really play point guard, but when I do get the ball in the half court and they're trapping me, I'm looking to see where they're coming from and where my person is, where I could pass it to. I'm trying to figure out, okay, am I going to attack into the trap so I could pass it over them? Am I going to back it up so I could reattack the other way? Like just knowing your options and what you could do. Like honestly, like ball handling is a big aspect in that. Being able to pick it up at a short time's notice and pass it, being able to make a move and then pass it with one hand, even like just having all those passes and quick pickups to pass it is huge.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that, I've played point guard for a long, long time, and it is crucial to be able to see the floor at all times. And honestly, that's why playing point can be so difficult at times, because you're expected to see the floor, know where your teammates are, know where the defenders are, all while not turning the ball over. So obviously it's a very difficult task, but at the same time, when teams are pressing and, like there's pressure and all those things, like if you want to be a college basketball player, like you have to be able to handle it. You have to be able to scan the floor, see where everybody's at, and kind of already have a game plan in mind that like she's coming, okay, well, where's she coming from? Where's my teammates? Is somebody cutting? Is somebody, filling up the floor? All of those things, and then be able to react and make a decision in a split second. And that's like something that I was saying earlier, that coaches look at all of those little things, not just if you're able to put the ball in the basket. Like for point guards, sometimes you can have an incredible game and not put the ball in the hoop at all. Like being able to control your team and make the right pass, make the right decisions, setting your teammates up to be successful, to score, all of those things. Like you can be super impactful without having to score all the points. Yeah. And so, like I said, all of those things are what coaches are looking at. So don't take it for granted that just because you're not like putting the ball in the hoop and you're dropping 30 points or whatever, that coaches don't think that what you're doing isn't important.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, excellent. Well, that's my list. And so now let's talk about your guys' best and worst AAU viewing period experiences, however you want to term it. So who wants to go first?
I could go.
Okay.
I would say, I think my best and worst experience is almost the same thing. The worst part about it was, so basically I hopped around from AAU team because I didn't feel like I found the right spot to fit in and the right spot to play. And it wasn't because I wasn't like the player on the team, and it wasn't because like just that really, I just didn't feel like I was getting any better as a player. Like I had goals to play D1, I had goals to go higher than I was, and just finding that coach and right team to help me get there was very important to me. And it took me all throughout high school to do that, honestly. Started out as a young age, and normal kid AAU, like I wasn't really serious, just playing around, fun and everything. And then when I did get serious, I switched teams and tried to go too far. I went to Bay Area, and it was just too much of a drive. It was just, I wasn't on the team that I wanted to be on, so I could get better and get looks, because we were always in the small gyms in the back, like nobody ever went back there or anything. So I always wanted to just be in the spot, not on the court, but like have coaches be able to come to our games and know where we're playing, if that makes sense. And And then I moved to another team, didn't really, I fit in, but no one else had same goals and aspirations as I did. So I still wanted more for myself. So moved to my final team, and that was the best team I could be on. And I wish I found it sooner so I could have just stayed with them for a little longer.
I don't
But
think it started sooner.
yeah,
I think it started the year you joined.
yeah,
So,
the first team. So yeah,
but yeah,
yeah, like, and I finally found that, and I think that was the best experience. I think the whole experience, just finding, just knowing, and I feel like I was like finding myself in a way. Like I knew I didn't want to just settle to be an okay player and not get any looks. I wanted to be an okay player and get better. I wanted to be on a team where everyone was trying to get somewhere. Everyone was pushing each other. Everyone had goals to play at the next level, not just play to you're in high school, stay in shape. You're just doing it because you've done it your whole life and
Yeah.
not trying to play over in college. But yeah, like that was the worst experience, just not finding it sooner and not being able to like really just have that last experience. But the best experience was being able to find myself and thinking higher myself. And I think that still carries with me today. Like I'm always trying to be better. I'm never satisfied with like, okay, I made a few shots, like good, I want to make more now. Like, why didn't I make the other two shots? Like, so it's always trying to be better for myself. And that came from just not being on the right AU team at the beginning.
yeah.
So yeah.
And I think to your point in regards to that team, especially the summer of your junior year, is they were all just also really good people.
Yeah.
And I think obviously I coached for a really long time, and I've had every kind of team you could ever imagine, and the makeups of the team, and AAU becomes tricky because parents paid, and you're like, gosh, I don't know about this kid. They don't really seem like a great kid, but you got to keep them to an extent. But, to your point on that team, and I think that's what made your experience really good was they were all really good people. No one was out to get anybody. Everybody enjoyed everybody's success. And
Yeah.
a lot of those kids got a lot of offers, right? And so to the point, your point, and then everything we've talked about, I think the culture of the program a little bit is going to enhance or inhibit these points that we discussed. So I'm glad you found the team.
For me, little envious of Jada's experience. I didn't have the best AAU experience, but I will say the best thing about it was definitely being able to travel and be able to play in an area and a situation where like you can look over and you literally see college coaches. Like it's real. Like they're sitting right there in front of you and they're watching. Like it's a little intimidating, but at the same time, it's like this is what you want. You want them to come and you want them to see you play. And so for me, that was really cool for me. Like I said, it just made it very real to me because of how much I wanted to play college basketball and play at the D1 level and all of those things. So that was awesome for me. My worst experience for me, I didn't think that I played for the best AU program under the best coaches. When we talk about sometimes AU programs, they're, like there's a lot of them out there that are in it for the high school kids. They're in it for, making sure that they're reaching their goals, they're teaching, they're doing all the things to where they're growing as basketball players, but also as people. Like there's programs that are out there that do that, but there's also a lot of programs out there that don't do that. And unfortunately, I felt I was part of a program that didn't always prioritize each and every single one of the athletes that was in the AAU program, and for me, kind of fell into that category. So my advice would just be make sure that whatever AAU program you decide to play for, you know that in your heart that they're in it for your best interest in the long run, not just to make a profit off you, not just so they can slap your name on some type of like resume if you make it big and they're like, oh, I got this person here, just to make themselves look better, you know, to ride your coattail if you get somewhere big. Nothing like that. Like, because at the end of the day, that stuff doesn't really matter. It's about people that genuinely want to see you succeed. And that's what's important, especially playing AAU.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you both figured it out though. And despite your worst experiences, made it to where you made it and achieved goals. So, that's great. So yeah, that's what we got. Thank you both for sharing your experiences. I think you bring a lot of value again to high school players and parents, having gone through it, having been high achievers. And you guys traveled very, very different routes. And for all of our listeners and followers out there, we will be bringing on a third athlete to our team. We're very excited. We'll be announcing it soon. And she's had quite a different AU experience than the two of these two have had. And she's got a wealth of knowledge to share also. And so thank you for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe. Make sure you check out all of our Shoot Like a Girl merchandise. Go ahead and check out the link below. We're coming out with some new merch very soon. And until next time.